In the very heart of Rome rose the Colosseum, the largest amphitheater of the ancient world. More than stone and arches, more than seats and shadows, it stood as a living symbol of the empire's absolute power. Within its mighty walls, the blood of thousands had already been spilled in ferocious combat between gladiators and wild beasts. But there were days when the spectacle grew even greater, when the imagination of Roman engineers seemed limitless, and the impossible was transformed into reality. On those days, the Colosseum ceased to be an arena of sand and was reborn as an ocean. The gates were opened, and through hidden channels, water began to pour in. Slowly at first, then with greater force, streams invaded the arena until the golden floor of sand vanished beneath rising waves. Before long, what had been dry ground was replaced by a shimmering lake. It was an engineering feat so daring, so audacious, that even today it leaves scholars in awe. The crowd watched in silence, astonished at the metamorphosis taking place before their eyes. And when the water reached the required depth, the trumpets blared. The multitude held its breath, knowing that something extraordinary was about to begin. The naumachiae. Naumachiae were naval reenactments, spectacles that recreated, on a smaller but deadly scale, the great sea battles that shaped Rome's destiny. Yet these were not simple plays or harmless dramatizations. They were real combats. Gladiators, prisoners of war, even condemned criminals were forced to fight aboard wooden ships, representing enemy fleets. The audience did not merely watch a story unfold. They watched history reborn, a war brought back to life before their very eyes. The first great reenactment recalled the struggle against Carthage, Rome's most dangerous and relentless enemy. Inside the flooded Colosseum, Roman vessels appeared adorned with crimson banners and golden eagles, shimmering under the Mediterranean sun. Opposing them, the ships of Carthage surged forward, their prows carved into fierce lion heads, their sails painted with purple hues that echoed the legendary wealth of their city. The gladiators, cast as Carthaginian warriors, wore flowing garments of deep violet, evoking the nobility of a civilization that had nearly broken Rome. The crowd knew instantly what it was witnessing, a retelling of the Punic Wars, when Hannibal, the brilliant general who crossed the Alps with his elephants, nearly brought the empire to its knees. Each crash of ship against ship was a reminder of the Battle of Zama. Each cry of pain was an echo of the final victory that gave Rome mastery over the Mediterranean world. Another celebrated reenactment was the confrontation with the Greeks. The audience roared with fervor at the sight of gladiators dressed as hoplites, their bronze shields catching the light of the afternoon sun. They advanced aboard trireme-like vessels, sleek and fast, while from the other side came the heavier, more imposing Roman ships, bristling with armed men. It was more than a clash of boats. It was a clash of civilizations. Rome admired Greek culture, its philosophy, its art, its gods, yet at the same time it reminded the people that it was Rome, not Athens, that had conquered the world. When a Greek vessel was rammed and overturned, the crowd erupted as if they were reliving Rome's victory over Macedonia, proof once again that Roman might overshadow all others. But not all naumachiae were rooted in history. Some dove into the vast sea of mythology. In those extravagant performances, ships emerged, transformed into monsters of the deep. Decks were sculpted to resemble serpents and leviathans, with painted scales that shimmered in the sun. Gladiators donned costumes of heroes from legend, recreating battles against creatures of the ocean depths. It was myth made flesh, enacted with blood, water, and fire. The audience roared with delight as artificial sea serpents rose from the waves, as heroes clashed with gods, and as thunderous machines created illusions of divine storms. For a moment, mortals and immortals seemed to share the same stage, the same fate. The visual impact was overwhelming, almost unbearable in its intensity. Picture it, ships colliding with a deafening crash, timbers shattering, warriors leaping from deck to deck, swords flashing beneath the Roman sky. Flaming arrows streaked through the air, hissing as they plunged into the water or struck the wooden hulls. The roar of 50,000 voices shook the amphitheater, merging with the brassy cry of trumpets and the rhythmic pounding of oars. It was as though Rome had dragged the entire sea into its stone walls and commanded it to obey. Yet beneath the magnificence lay terrible brutality. The clear water quickly turned crimson. Bodies floated lifeless, while desperate fighters struggled to stay afloat, dragged down by the weight of armor. Spears pierced chests. Cries of agony echoed down to the hidden corridors beneath the arena. For the crowd, it was breathtaking entertainment. For those forced to fight, it was a death sentence written in water and steel. The Colosseum was no stage of illusion. It was a place where death itself was real, inescapable and merciless. Equally astonishing was the engineering that made it possible. Few today ask how an amphitheater could be transformed into a lake. The truth is that Roman engineers constructed a network of aqueducts, channels, and subterranean drains that allowed the arena to be filled and emptied within hours. Even now, archaeologists debate the exact mechanisms. Some claim hidden cisterns. Others suggest sluice gates and flood basins. Whatever the method, it is certain that in the 1st century, Rome already possessed the genius to accomplish what to us seems nearly impossible. At the height of the spectacle, the climax came when an entire vessel was destroyed before the eyes of the multitude. Sometimes it was set ablaze, flames licking the sails as men screamed. Other times it sank slowly, swallowed by the waters of the artificial sea. 50,000 spectators leaned forward as one, their voices joining in a single thunderous cry. This was not merely theater. It was Rome's glory reborn, a reminder that the empire had no rival upon the earth. And when the battle finally reached its end, the survivors who had fought on the Roman side lifted their standards high, soaked, exhausted, drenched in blood yet triumphant. They were greeted with a deafening ovation. In that moment, they were not condemned men, not mere gladiators. They were Rome itself. The people believed they had seen their history resurrected, that they themselves had participated in the eternal power of the empire. But all spectacles end. Slowly, the engineers opened the drainage channels and the water slipped away. The Colosseum returned to dry sand, leaving behind shattered ships, abandoned corpses, and blood-soaked timbers. The multitude, satisfied and exhilarated, filed out of the amphitheater, still murmuring about the grandeur of what they had witnessed. The setting sun cast golden light upon the stone arches, and once again, Rome had proven to the world that nothing was impossible. Naumachiae were rare. They cost enormous sums of money, required colossal labor, and consumed countless lives. Yet they remained forever in memory as the boldest spectacles ever devised. Each time the arena was flooded, Rome reinvented itself. Each time the ships clashed, the people were reminded that Rome was eternal. In the Colosseum, there were no boundaries to spectacle. If the empire willed it, sand became sea, men became heroes, and blood became everlasting glory. And for one fleeting moment, gods and mortals alike shared the same stage. in the name of Rome's grandeur and Rome's eternity.